If you have zero sense of purpose in your work, you're not going to be happy. Right? There has to be purpose, and we are wired for that. Like why is dopamine so important for our neurological system? And why is it? Because that's the thing that makes us progress as an entire society. Right? The reason why we have machines and robots and things that are flying around is because we keep striving for more.
Yeah.
Right? And that's rooted in dopamine. So without that purpose, you're not going to do anything, and you're going to get depressed. Right? And whether it's depression, anxiety, just general mood disorders, whatever it is, purpose is super, super important. And if you don't have it in your work, build it in. Find a way to build it in.
How can we do that?
So if you're stuck, like, I have to do this work, I don't have an option, right? Well, I'm sitting there and I input data into a computer for this big company because that's the only option I have today and I hate it, right? What does that company do? Who do they help, right? What are you haven't yourself given that job purpose. You don't understand how it's aligned to the mission, right? You're thinking of it in the bubble of the job itself.
Yeah.
So if you need to cope with that and you don't have the ability to go do the thing that is actually your purpose, if you've already identified that, most people haven't, create the purpose, right? Your brain is just asking for it. So what is the mission of this thing you're doing? Who are you helping? Right? Every product helps somebody with something, right? Build the purpose in and give it to yourself. But you have to sort of create that cognition and awareness around it first. There's some work there, right?
Yeah.
And around the reward side, that's easier to do because you can get reward somewhere else. It doesn't have to be from your work, right? Reward can be just your income. It can be that simple if it's not your purpose, again. And you can get reward elsewhere, in the gym, with your kids, studying, learning, painting, cooking. Do something where you're constantly progressing and getting your reward.
While we're on this topic of reward, I
Yeah.
feel it pertinent that I share my purpose.
Yeah.
Just to #MakeThrivingStandards.
Awesome.
So that's a little sticker
Cool.
for you. And that's one of the things that I do with the guys who go through my program is because once I realized how important purpose and having a mission and values was for me,
Yeah.
that became like my treasure map and my
Yeah.
compass and my filter through which I do everything else. So to your point on like to create purpose in the interim, ultimately I recommend you quit your job if that's an option and do what you want to do. Another option that I recommend my clients is to think, okay, if you absolutely hate what you're doing right now, think that your purpose is to make this amount of money so that you can, move on to the next thing. Like that becomes your purpose.
That's that one step, right? You're creating that one little next step as opposed to like, how do I completely fix this? No, focus on the next step, right? And make that your reward, make that your purpose.
Okay.
Then you're satisfied.
Okay. And reward. Let's talk on this. Reward comes through overcoming challenges.
Yeah,
correct?
It comes from achievement.
Achievement.
Yeah.
Achievement of anything. Like it
Of
doesn't
anything,
matter.
there's a goal and I hit it, right? There was an outcome that I got to and it was purposeful. So that feeling of and that's why there's this cliff that people fall off, because I got there, now what?
Yeah.
Right? And people experience it in different ways. So the the high dopamine person that experiences dopamine at a high level, they're done with whatever the thing is. They may experience a bit of an anxiety and sort of what we call an acute anxiety response. So when you're used to everything being good and everything is satisfactory because your dopamine levels are so high and you stay in it so long, and you remove that, they're not used to feeling this bottom. They don't know that it's foreign to them. They're not used to this. So that creates this acute anxiety response. That's the person that can't get out of bed, that doesn't want to come to work tomorrow, right? That has to go home early. That's that acute anxiety response. The person with the low dopamine, the fast learns, it's more like depression, right? There's zero pleasure. What happened to pleasure? I was at this high and now the polar opposite, right? So both of those people need the next hit, right? They definitely need the next hit. The difference is that dopamine, that low dopamine expressing person, it can be somewhat, call it clinically problematic, because they're going to keep chasing and pursuing and chasing and pursuing to the point where they burn out. They need structure around them. They need that second person to coach them along and sort of create the frequency that's healthy.